The fluorescent lights of the small grocery store hummed softly as Emily's trembling fingers reached into the worn pocket of her coat. Her palm was sweaty, but she tightened her grip around the small handful of quarters, nickels, and pennies she had carefully counted before leaving her apartment. Her baby, Lily, had been crying the entire night. At only 6 months old, Lily needed formula, her tiny body depended on it. But formula wasn't cheap, and Emily's minimum wage paycheck had already been eaten up by rent, overdue bills, and the bus fare she used to get to work. She had done the math at least 3 times. Tonight, she had exactly enough for 1 container of formula, as long as the cashier didn't complain about the mountain of coins. Emily's hair clung to her cheeks, damp from the drizzle outside, and her tired eyes scanned the shelves as though the formula tin might vanish before she could grab it. With trembling determination, she picked it up and placed it in her basket, holding her head high despite the shame clawing at her chest. She could already imagine the look on the cashier's face when she poured out her quarters, the muttered sigh, the eye roll. But her daughter needed this, and that was all that mattered. The line moved slowly. Emily bounced Lily gently against her shoulder, whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. "Mommy's got you, baby, just a little longer." Finally, it was her turn. She placed the container on the counter, her cheeks flushing under the indifferent stare of the young cashier. With careful precision, Emily began setting down her quarters, stacking them in little piles of 4. Clink. 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 Each sound echoed in her ears like thunder, as though the entire store had fallen silent to watch her humiliation. She could feel the heat rising to her face, her body trembling under the invisible weight of judgment. Behind her, the line grew. A businessman in a sharp suit checked his watch impatiently. A woman tapped her foot loudly. Someone sighed dramatically. Emily's throat tightened, but she forced herself to keep going. 1 quarter after another, she pushed them toward the cashier, who gave her a raised brow and an annoyed glance. Then, out of nowhere, a voice, low, calm, steady, cut through the suffocating silence. "Put it on my card." Emily froze. Her eyes widened, and she turned slightly, meeting the gaze of the man behind her. He was tall, sharply dressed in a tailored navy suit, his tie perfectly knotted, his presence commanding yet strangely gentle. His dark eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, Emily forgot where she was. His voice wasn't mocking, nor pitying. It was kind. Firm. Sincere. I can't," Emily stammered, clutching her baby closer. "It's okay. I have enough." But the man shook his head slightly. No mother should be counting quarters for formula. "Put it on my card," he repeated to the cashier, who looked instantly relieved. The businessman handed over a sleek black credit card, and just like that, the formula was paid for. Emily's trembling hands hovered over the container, unsure whether to thank him or run out of the store before the tears threatening to spill from her eyes betrayed her. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. "I know," the man replied simply. "But I wanted to." Before she could speak again, the cashier bagged the formula and handed it to her. Emily's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded quickly, her voice catching. Thank you so much." The man gave her the faintest smile, one that softened the sharpness of his features. "Take care of your little one." Emily turned and hurried out of the store, her heart pounding. She didn't know his name. She didn't know why he had done it. But she knew one thing, someone had seen her struggle and chosen kindness. And that simple act lit a tiny spark of hope in her weary soul. But what Emily didn't know was that the man who had paid for her daughter's formula wasn't just anyone. He was Daniel Carter, the CEO of one of the largest companies in the city. And fate wasn't finished weaving their story. The following week was just another blur of exhaustion for Emily. Between double shifts at the diner and nights spent rocking Lily to sleep, she barely had time to breathe. Still, she couldn't shake the memory of the stranger's voice, "Put it on my card." It had replayed in her mind over and over, a reminder that not everyone looked away when someone was struggling. One rainy afternoon, Emily was rushing into work, balancing her umbrella, diaper bag, and Lily in her arms. As she pushed through the heavy glass doors of the diner, she nearly collided with someone stepping out. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, adjusting Lily quickly. And then her heart stopped. Standing before her, just as composed and commanding as she remembered, was the man from the grocery store. Daniel Carter. His eyes lit up with recognition, and a small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "It's you." Emily blinked in shock. "Why, you're the guy with the credit card," Daniel finished for her, his tone amused but warm. Her cheeks burned, and she tightened her grip on Lily. "I never got to thank you properly. That night, you have no idea how much that meant to me." "You don't owe me thanks," he said gently. His eyes shifted to Lily, whose tiny hand had curled around Emily's collar. "You're doing the hardest job in the world. And you're doing it alone. That takes strength." Emily swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. People usually looked at her with pity, or worse, judgment. But this man, this powerful stranger, looked at her with respect. Before she could gather her words, one of her coworkers called from inside. "Emily. You're late again." Flustered, she nodded quickly at Daniel. I have to go." "Thank you again." But as she turned, his voice stopped her. "Wait." She looked back, clutching Lily tighter. Daniel's expression softened. "I know this might sound strange, but, would you let me help you? I don't mean charity. I mean, opportunity. Come by my office tomorrow. I think we should talk." Emily's heart raced. She didn't know what to think. Why would a CEO, a man who could buy 1,000 cans of formula without blinking, care about her, a broke single mom working at a diner? It felt impossible. Unreal. Dangerous even. But there was something in his voice, a sincerity she couldn't ignore. The next day, Emily found herself nervously walking into the towering glass building downtown, Lily tucked into her stroller. The receptionist greeted her warmly and directed her to the top floor. Emily's legs trembled with every step, the echo of her shoes against the marble floor reminding her how far she was from her usual world. When she entered Daniel's office, he stood by the window, the city skyline stretching behind him. He turned, and for a moment, the sight of Lily in her stroller softened the edges of his powerful demeanor. "I'm glad you came," he said simply. Emily sat down cautiously, her hands twisting in her lap. "I don't understand." "Why me? Why are you helping me?" Daniel leaned forward, his eyes locking onto hers. "Because I saw something in you that night. You were exhausted, humiliated, but you didn't give up. You didn't walk away without what your daughter needed. That kind of determination, that kind of love, it's rare. And it's exactly the kind of strength I want around me." Tears pricked at Emily's eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever seen her struggle as strength. Daniel continued, his voice steady. "I'd like to offer you a position in my company. Something stable. Something that pays well. A chance to build the future you and your daughter deserve. All I ask is that you don't see this as pity. See it as a partnership. You show me that strength, and I'll show you what happens when someone believes in it." Emily's breath caught. Her mind raced with doubts, fears, and the heavy weight of disbelief. But in Daniel's eyes, she saw no ulterior motive. Only truth. Only hope. She looked down at Lily, who gurgled softly, then back at the man who had changed her life with a simple sentence in a grocery store. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say yes," Daniel said, his voice calm but filled with conviction. And in that moment, Emily realized that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can open the door to a life you never dreamed possible. As the rain tapped gently against the windows, Emily nodded, her tears falling freely. "Yes."